Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Please call the roll.
Councilman Kitchen is excused. Councilman Morrow.
Here.
Councilman Secreto.
Here.
Councilman Van Cleek.
Accounted for.
Supervisor Quigley.
Present. Thank you. Do we have audio on Facebook Live?
There is sound.
There is sound. Thank you.
Sound is good.
So tonight I have two additions to the agenda. One is a motion to appoint Officer Killian to the SRO position. And the second one is to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Local 17 in reference to employee discipline. We will take those up as they appear towards the end of the agenda. Are there any members of the public here tonight who wish to address the town board on agenda items? Thank you. Town clerk, communications, please.
Yes. Okay, I have two letters. The first one received Monday, August 30th via email. It reads, "Dear Mr. Quigley, several of our neighbors and myself are writing to request a walkway to Dina Marie Plaza. Currently, in order to walk to the plaza from the residences near Augustine's Nursery, we have to walk down Route 9W. Walking on the highway is problematic, especially in snowy conditions. There is a fence which restricts access behind the plaza at Risley and Dogwood Place. We appreciate all of the rail trails, which are a hallmark of Ulster County, and similarly would enjoy a path for access to the stores nearby, which would benefit the environment and health of the economy. I am a positive member of society. I publish an ambitious, enterprising blog and have a network of family and friends in Ulster County. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Torrin Spencer Gray, a resident of Ulster Gardens." Second letter received recently from Central Hudson. It reads, "Dear Central Hudson customer."
Yes, please.
As you may be aware, Central Hudson is developing a training academy and transmission and distribution primary control center adjacent to our existing facility located on Route 9W in Lake Katrine. As a neighbor to this project, construction updates are now posted each Friday outlining anticipated activities taking place the following week. To view these weekly updates, please go to www.centralhudson.com/my-energy/our-future/training-academy/. In the future, we plan to provide communications via email. If you would like to be included in these communications, please provide your email address together with your name and mailing address to jmaserjian@senhud.com. A second open house will be held next month to review the project status. The event will take place on Wednesday, September 22nd, 2021, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Central Hudson's offices located at 2001 Route 9W, Lake Katrine, New York. Please indicate whether you plan to attend by calling 845-486-5282 or sending an email to the same email address I just mentioned. Please note that masks are required and attendees must maintain social distancing. This training academy will allow Central Hudson to establish a single dedicated and centralized facility to enable scenario-based training for our employees, with plans to also provide training and educational resources to local and regional first responders. Co-located at the facility will be a new transmission and distribution primary control center. Using new technologies, this center will enhance Central Hudson's ability to monitor and control the natural gas and electric infrastructure critical for the reliable and safe coordination of the energy delivery system serving our region. Benefits to the local area include enhanced electric service, reliability due to the critical nature of the primary control center, increase in town of Ulster's tax base, and increase in number of jobs in Ulster County. Site preparation activities are underway and are anticipated to continue through October, tapering off through the end of the year. Building construction will begin in September and continue through the duration of the project. The entire facility will be developed in phases over the next 3 to 4 years. For more information on this project, visit www.centralhudson.com/my-energy/our-future/training-academy/. Yours truly, Dan Olivieri, Project Manager at Central Hudson.
This action by Central Hudson is a response to public concerns over the activities that are occurring on the Central Hudson construction site on Route 9W as they impact the Glen Area and Eastern Parkway neighborhoods. I asked that the communication be published on the town's website, on the town's Facebook page, and that an email blast be sent to the town's mailing list. Central Hudson is in the process of mailing an expanded US mail list that is in excess of the 108 that were initially mailed in 2019. I think the total addresses are about 300. And it's to the general vicinity of the project. In addition, the public is welcome. It's not necessary that members live in the affected neighborhoods. The invitation is going out to the entire community for those that are interested in attending. Central Hudson will be mailing and attempting to establish an email distribution at the request of several members of the concerned neighborhood.
I had the pleasure to attend the first meeting that Central Hudson had when they started this project. So I would encourage any community member that's interested to go to this meeting, because I thought their presentation was excellent and informative. And so if it was as good as the first, it'll be a worthwhile meeting.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Mr. Kovacs, the first item for no business tonight is a presentation by the town attorney on the responsibilities of the town board under the New York State cannabis law. And we have in our package a sample resolution that relates to your presentation.
Yes, Supervisor, thank you. As most of you know, earlier this year, the New York State Legislature approved a Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act, which legalized recreational marijuana up to a certain amount and established a regulatory scheme for the growing and distribution and selling of recreational marijuana. This will go into effect probably next spring. It will be a 13% sales tax on recreational marijuana. Of that 13%, 4% will be divided up between the county and the town pursuant to our sales tax agreement. The State Cannabis Control Board will be issuing a variety of licenses for cultivator licenses, processor licenses, distributor licenses. The two that concern the town are the retail dispensary license and the on-site consumption license. These are the only two licenses that the town has any control over. The town has until December 31st to adopt a local law which would opt out of the social consumption license and the retail or the retail dispensary license. If the town doesn't take any action by the end of this year and pass a local law opting out of this scheme, then the Cannabis Control Board will or may issue licenses for those two types of entities in the town of Ulster. If the town does not opt out of these two different licenses, the town still has some input over where these entities may go in the town. Any applicant before the Cannabis Control Board for either the retail dispensary license or the consumption license, they have to notify the town clerk at least 30 days before they apply to the state. It's very similar to the liquor law, the liquor license application. So the town can give the Cannabis Control Board comments on whether they think the license location is proper, whether it's a good place, etc. So again, the opt-out local law for either or both of these licenses, we must pass that by December 31st of this year. It is subject to a permissive referendum. If we do not opt out by the end of this year, we cannot opt out at any point in the future. We are locked into these licenses absent a change in the state law. If we do opt out and we decide 2 years from now, we do want these entities or venues in the town, we can pass a local law to opt back in.
Mr. Kovacs, based upon the actions that the town board must take, can you describe a hypothetical timeline as to when we should consider to debate this, when we should introduce a resolution if there is a desire on the part of the town board to pass a local law? What do we need for the expiration of a public hearings, public comment period, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, this would be very similar to any other local law process. We would need a public hearing. At the conclusion of the public hearing, we would need to vote. So there is time before the end of the year to pass a local law. I would suggest moving on this sooner rather than later in case there's any defects in the publication or public hearing process. But we do have time to approve a law to opt out of one or both of these entities. I would note that it is subject to a permissive referendum. It was too late for a referendum to be on the ballot this year, so it would be on the general election ballot in 2022 if enough signatures were filed to force a referendum.
Go ahead.
Do I understand correctly then, if we did nothing,
Mhm.
then it would be allowed in the area?
So if we did nothing, the Cannabis Control Board could issue licenses for either a retail dispensary or an on-site consumption license for an applicant in the town. Now, we would still get notification that there's an application pending. The town can still contribute comments to the Cannabis Control Board. The ultimate authority for the license would be the state board.
As you said, there was an option for a referendum. Is there a reverse option on a referendum? If the board does nothing or votes in favor, is there an option for the community to have a referendum to say no, to opt out?
No.
Is that gonna come under ABC board on the state level or is it
Separate,
separate board?
separate entities called the Cannabis Control Board. It was created earlier this year. I think actually the new governor just made a few appointments to the control board, but it's a separate board.
Any other comments? No. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is a presentation by the Ulster County Sheriff's Department of the AVERT program. It's the Anti-Violence Effort Response Team. Mr. Berardi, would you make the into introductions?
With me tonight is Detective Mario Tagliaferro from the Ulster County Sheriff's Office. I've butchered your last name, I'm sure. He is part of the Oracle unit as well as the newly formed AVERT unit. He's going to give a short presentation to the community about what their initiatives are. They're just it's newly announced. They're looking to roll it out later this year or early next, and they're looking for support from obviously community members as well as local municipalities.
Thank you, Chief.
AVERT, Anti-Violence Effort Response Team. So this whole idea really came about in cooperation with the community. The Sheriff's Office has been attending community meetings for over a year in the city of Kingston, and we worked well with them to hear their concerns, and obviously there's a concern over gun violence. So that's where this was formed. AVERT stands for to see something coming and to ward it off. The purpose of the unit: violence prevention focused, but not limited to Ulster County. And the focus is on reducing gun crimes in a proactive gun retrieval way. Obviously, we have partners in other counties. We work well with Sullivan County, Orange County, Dutchess County, pretty much any county. So, and people travel across county lines. So it's not limited to Ulster County. Part of the goal of AVERT is to enhance our credibility and our partnership with our community, which I think has already occurred just by the way it formed through our dialogue with members over their concerns. It's going to, oh, I'm sorry. bridge the gap in current practices and recognize opportunities for diversion. So sometimes in our regular information gathering, we may hear information of an at-risk youth member in possession of a firearm, or it may be rumor, it may not be enough to generate a criminal investigation. That would be where AVERT steps in. So we would close that gap and encourage productive participation in our society. Next. So currently, I'm part of the Oracle unit. The Oracle unit is the opioid response as county law enforcement. What Oracle does is takes a proactive approach in assisting our community members with substance abuse. Currently, we do drug take back events. We do educational events where we train for Narcan and distribute Narcan to people that really anybody could be around somebody who's overdosing. You could pull up to a gas pump, and the guy in the car next to you could be overdosing. So I encourage everybody to take that. We also reach out to people that have had overdoses. We collect overdose data, and we go out and try to meet them where they are and coordinate assistance, substance abuse assistance, rehabs, outpatient, inpatient, whatever fits what they need to do to be successful. So that's a lot of the inspiration for AVERT. IPVI is the Intimate Partner Violence Intervention Unit, and that's currently out of the Ulster County District Attorney's Office. That comes from the National Network for Safe Communities, as well as Group Violence Intervention. Group Violence Intervention, evidence-based program. It substitutes enforcement with deterrence, but there's still a strategic law enforcement aspect to it. It's currently operating in the city of Newburgh. I had the privilege of going down there and meeting with some of the people who run it. They do a great job, and they've seen their gun crimes drop. It puts a group pressure for people to not be involved in gun crimes. So it's deterrence. And AVERT will continue to evolve based on the needs of Ulster County. Next. So the process simplified, we would identify a candidate, and that could be from school resource officers that we cooperate with, or really anybody. It could be even community members. And they could say, hey, Johnny's starting to head down a bad path. We're not sure what's going on, but we'd like to refer him to him. We would complete a pre-contact workup. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're not going to make the situation worse by getting involved. If there's not a good way to make contact with him, if he's surrounded by his peers and we think the reaction is going to be bad, we might not want to make contact with him that way. We'll try to find an alternative way, and we'll identify the goals. If he's in possession of a gun, obviously we want to get the gun, but then we also want to address the root cause of why he's heading down this violent path. And it might be something that occurred in his family. Maybe a loved one passed away. Maybe a family member got arrested. You know, there's just something triggered this. Let's try to fix that. So we would make contact with that person safely, do an assessment similar to what we do in Oracle now. We have an assessment form that gathers information that's pertinent to Oracle, insurance plan, substance that you use, how long you've been using. It will be catered to AVERT. And we would take that assessment and present it to our multidisciplinary team for plan and commitments. So our multidisciplinary team right now involves Ulster County services that are already in place, DSS, mental health, employment and training. Family of Woodstock has agreed to be a partner on this. And we have some mentorships, but we're seeking out additional mentorships. And you would present it to the roundtable, and people would, based on the assessment, agree to, okay, I'll commit to getting this kid into a GED program because he maybe dropped out of school. I'll commit to signing this kid up with a therapist that is trauma involved because we understand there's some trauma in his history. Those are the commitments that we would be looking for from our multidisciplinary team. It would be the job of AVERT to re-meet with that candidate to discuss the plan. Obviously, if we come up with a plan and the candidate is not agreeable to it, then probably not gonna work, so we'll go back to the table and do it over again. So it's something that will work with them. And then if it's agreeable, we'll implement it. And then we pride ourselves on follow-up at Oracle, so we would pride ourselves on follow-up with Avert. At Oracle, we try to maintain communication with the person for a year, minimum, extended if necessary. But we want to keep them on the right track. Next. So the primary team of Avert is going to be 2 detectives / investigators, 2 deputies / officers, 1 social worker, and 1 part-time counselor. We're hoping to get, I hope to get some participation from the City of Kingston Police Department. They're trying to fill some spots to give us some detectives and officers. And we should be seeing the budget go through for this in 2022. Currently, I am the only member assigned to Avert. I'm supervised by Lieutenant Chad Story and the sheriff. The multidisciplinary team I already talked about, and that'll get additions or subtractions as needed. If somebody writes a letter of interest to us and they have something that they can bring to the team, then we'll roundtable it and see if it's a good fit. And then the extended network of services will continue to grow. Faith leaders, therapists, labor unions. Next. So some additional considerations. Members of Avert could be present in the event of a pre-planned arrest warrant or search warrant. Reduction of potential future offenders by immediate intervention of social workers / resources. If your parent or guardian is arrested or removed from the home, child may develop a fear, suffer neglect. We don't want to see that. We don't want to see adverse childhood experiences. So if we can intervene sooner, maybe we can limit that and avoid those developmental issues and that risky behavior that leads to the problem in the first place. We also have to be cognizant that a lot of the people that are involved in our shootings, now I'm going off script, you can shut it down. A lot of the people who are involved in our shootings can either wear the hat of suspect or victim. They're the ones that are highest likely to be involved on the side of that. So, and it's a very small percentage of the people in our community. They're still community members. So we still want them to be successful if they're in our community. And if we offer them services and we try to get them with the program and they accept them, that's wonderful. If they don't, police are still going to be police and we're going to stop them. That's pretty much it.
Is there a timeline for this program to establish milestones and measure effectiveness of the operations?
Not as of yet.
Has there been discussions of that?
Yes.
Okay.
So, part of my meeting with people that have implemented GBI, group violence intervention, in the city of Newburgh, they laid out their stats on how they saw gun crime drop and its impact in their neighborhoods. We would do the same tracking. I'm not a data expert. I hope they don't put that on me. So, but I'm happy to try. I'm happy to learn new things as this progresses.
Okay, and the agencies that have currently involved in this program with the county sheriff's department are?
The city of Kingston was at the press release. I think that was in July. City of Kingston, Saugus Police was there, New Falls Police, Ellenville Police, obviously they have some issues down there as well. I think it's just a matter of me finding the time. I wear 2 hats. Oracle is very busy. So in the time that I do have, I seek out support from people that weren't there. I don't think anybody said they don't want to be involved.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions from the members of the board?
I think the school situation is, it starts right there too. The guidance counselors, the nurses and social workers right at the school.
Yeah.
I mean, talking to them will lead you right to someone.
Yeah. And our school resource officers are awesome at it too. I know we have Tom Sharon at one of our schools. He's great. If a kid's having a bad day, Tom notices. And he really is, he's become a role model. And it's a good thing.
Well,
of these
the
guys-
parents will be brought to attention to what's going on. Sometimes they're not aware what's going on at school.
Yeah, yeah. And right now, we have, this is the point of the community meetings, was to hear the community and address their concerns. They don't like gun violence. Nobody does. Everybody has a common interest in fundamental safety and well-being in the community. Everybody. And I think they'll be on board with this. They stood behind us at the press release.
Any other comments?
Yeah. Excuse me. Do you have any concerns with administrating this when you have multiple municipalities involved? So like, will the sheriff's department be the lead of this, or
Yes.
you will?
That's the way I see it. Like I said, it will evolve. If something's not working, we're gonna fix it, we're fixers. But initially, I would ask that if the chief has a school resource officer that sees a kid going that way, he reach out to us, we coordinate, because we're gonna be in the multidisciplinary team. So we're utilizing resources that are already in place, just in a more efficient way, and we're all communicating.
Okay, very good. We will take this up with the chief in a police commission meeting, and we will get back to you.
Great. Thank you
All
all
right,
for your time.
thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 7:26. We're well past the appointed time for a scheduled public hearing at 7:10 for a special use permit for the home occupation for Robert Anusio, project number 850 at 185 Eastern Parkway Extension, Saugerties, New York, section block and lot 39.11-5-1.300. Robert, are you here tonight? Would you please approach the podium and just explain to the town board what it is that you do, so we understand what we're issuing a special permit for?
Sure, how you guys doing? So me and my wife own a small business where we build custom RVs slash tiny homes. That's the catchy name for them. But basically, we own a small business that me and her work together. We sometimes have 1 to 2 people that will help us depending on how large scale project it is. The reason that we're seeking a special permit is because we have a mobile home as our dwelling, and we have a barn on the property that we use for the construction of these RVs. Because we're not in a commercial area, we're in a residential area at the end of a dead end road, we need the special permit because we can't actually operate out of our house, and we can't connect our house to the barn because it's a mobile structure. So that's the reason we're applying for the special permit.
Thank you. Mr. Ring, as chairman of the planning board, could you update the town board on the status of this application with the planning board?
I believe that we passed that resolution and we sent it to the town board for special permit.
Okay,
The unique characteristics of this is that the applicant is at the end of a private road, dead end, and there are multiple parcels that this gentleman owns that are in between where he has the barn and the construction and his neighbors, and all the construction is done inside the building. That's where the key is.
was this required to be referred to the county planning board?
I don't believe it was.
Okay. Mr. Tutt, are there any issues in monitoring the application? With those questions answered, I would ask for a motion to open a public hearing.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, the public hearing is open tonight for the special use permit for a home occupation for Robert Anusio at 185 Eastern Parkway. Please come to the podium, state your name and your address, and please attempt to keep your comments to less than 3 minutes.
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much, Robert. Mr. Kovacs, seeing that we've had no comments tonight, I would like to make a motion for the town board to authorize the issuance of the special use permit for the home occupation. Is this appropriate?
Yes, it is. I can have a formal resolution.
So you'll have a formal resolution with conditions for the next meeting? Okay, so we will take that up at the next meeting. Okay? Everything looks good? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are well past 7:15, which is the appointed time for a public hearing for a special use permit for the placement of a manufactured home outside of a manufactured home park. I'm going to butcher this, please forgive me. Orna Hayek at 88 Old Stage Road in Saugerties. Is the applicant here? Would you please come forward and just give us a brief rundown of what you're going to do?
Hi, my name is Orna, and the brief rundown is that building a house nowadays would take between 1 year and 2 with construction materials and people. So I bought a manufactured house, and then I bought a property, and I really just want to put the house on the property. I
Okay,
know it's a mobile home by definition, but for me, it's home.
very good. So may I have a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor? Ladies and gentlemen, if there's anyone here tonight who wish to comment on the placement of a manufactured home outside of a mobile home park at 88 Old Stage Road, please approach the podium. You may sit down. Thank you. Anyone?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Kovacs, and seeing no public comment, would it be appropriate for the town board to pass a motion tonight or wait for a formal resolution at the next meeting?
I think that's a formal resolution.
Very good. Everything looks good. We will have a vote for you in the 15th of September at 7 PM is our next town board meeting. I promise you. I'll put it on as the first item. Thank you for coming out tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, the item next appearing on our agenda is a motion to set a public hearing for the 2022 East Kingston Fire Company for Thursday, October 7th, 2021 at 7:10. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda tonight is a motion to authorize the town clerk to attend the Athenan Leadership Seminar, September 18th, 2021 at the Desmond Hotel in Albany. And before I ask for that motion, this is overnight?
No.
No,
1 day,
and this is mileage and tolls.
yes.
Okay.
I'll
So
make the motion.
this, we will authorize this town clerk to attend at our expense out of town.
Going by yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. This afternoon in the Kingston Freeman, the illustrious journal William Kimball wrote an article about the Kingston School Board voting last night to extend the SRO contracts with the local police agencies for the Kingston Consolidated School District. That was on their side. Tonight, on our side, since the Kingston School District has not finalized the document for the current year, we have a motion to extend the term of the existing agreement that is in place for the 2021 school year for the school resource officer until a new agreement is authorized by both parties. May I have a motion to extend the existing contract?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Would there be an end date to this extension?
Mr. Berardi, you had a conversation with the school district superintendent?
Relative to the timeframe, I think the school board agreed to 1 month extension. So we're hoping we can finalize everything within the month of September.
Have you seen a first draft, though?
No, I haven't.
Out of an abundance of caution, I would ask for a 60-day extension.
Yeah, I don't foresee too much difference into the current agreement, other than adapting it to what the committee felt they wanted to change and based on our opinion, being the police department of the town.
Okay, so I would reform the motion to extend the term of the agreement for 60 days for the 2021 school year for the school resource officer until a new agreement is authorized by both parties. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The second item, in relation to the school resource officer contract, is an addition. It is a motion to appoint Officer Killian, who has previously served as school resource officer for,
I believe this is gonna be his fourth year.
to the position for the 2021-2022 school year.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. Tutt, next item on the agenda is a discussion item to address the side entrance to the police department and the improvements that have been recommended to keep that entrance dry.
Well, as we all know, it's been problematic to build. Our highway superintendent did a wonderful job. Great on. I feel that having an adequate structure over it prevent the deluge in the event that what they did install can't handle. When you get a 4-inch per hour rain. Prevent the rain from getting down there in the first place, and the drain can be a backup for a rain. But what we have now has worked, that part, but we all know about.
Okay, we've have suggested drawings. There have been some emails submitted. Are there any comments from the town board members about this proposed project?
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, suggestions, I went with the one with the sides on it.
Okay,
Yeah, definitely. Signs.
and this project will be constructed using in-house labor. And we will procure the materials through our standard procurement policy and charge them to the 2021 budget.
Yeah, if I could just comment that within about a year now, we have seen an upgrade to the facilities downstairs to bring it to an adequate level. Is that appropriate word?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. We have
Don't
seen,
you want to say awesome instead of adequate?
we have, this drain is a major, what the highway department did out here about the drain is a major thing, not just for downstairs, but for the building and all. We have the generator, the best we could come up with, which is a great generator being installed, so a lot's going on here. This just seems to be the final for the moment. Let me back, the sewer department did some phenomenal work getting lines fixed. The whole town's come together to make this building what we've got the best it can be. So I think this is great to cap it off.
Well, I think Frankie mentioned with all the rain that we have received, we didn't have a lake over there. So the water did, the pipes worked.
Okay, so may I have a motion to authorize Building Inspector Warren Tutt to proceed with the improvements utilizing town forces?
I'll make the motion.
I'd like to second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Gentlemen, the last item on our agenda, until I get to the last one I have to add, is a motion to set a public hearing for a special use permit for Ulster Recreation Facility, Project 851 at Route 28, Kingston, New York, 12401, Section Block and Lot 47.2-4-3.100 for September 16th, 2021 at 7:20 p.m. in the evening.
I'll make the motion.
I'm gonna second this one.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Ladies and gentlemen, on our agenda, we have an executive session for public employee discipline. I'm going to call for a motion to authorize the town supervisor to sign the memorandum of agreement between the town of Ulster and Local 17 in reference to this discipline matter, so that we can expedite this issue.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on the matter? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Before I open the floor to public comment tonight, I would like to make a statement. Earlier this week, there was an undignified exchange between the supervisor who lost his temper and a resident of the town of Ulster. And for that, I want to apologize both to the resident who was offended and to the town of Ulster people. I would also like to ask the personnel chairman, you're chairman, right?
No, I am.
Mr. Secreto, to investigate this matter with Mr. Van Cleef and recommend a course of corrective action. As you know, the town of Ulster supervisor over 12 years has lost his temper and patience in several situations that have sometimes gotten ugly. And this was one that got ugly. So I want to wholeheartedly apologize to the town for this course of action. It is not, as many people know me, normal for the words that were used in this exchange or the concepts that were communicated in this exchange. But nonetheless, they were undignified, they were uncalled for, and I'm going to ask for an investigation. Thank you. With that being said, is there anyone here tonight who would like to approach the podium to talk to the town board about any matter that they believe the town board should be aware of? That being said,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you on September 15th for the Town of Ulster Town Board meeting.